Good morning, top of the morning. For the past 3 days, I've come out here and set up my little chair in front of my little camera, and I've been attempting to record a video about life is beautiful, about why life is beautiful. But for the past 3 days, I've come out here and I've set up my little camera and my little chair, but I haven't been able to sit down in my little chair because there is resistance. Because I haven't known what I'm going to talk about. And so I've just been walking around my little chair, stalking it like a tiger, like a frightened tiger, a tiger who's afraid. And it's made me question because I've just wanted to sit down and talk about why life is beautiful, yet I don't know what to say. I'm like, is life even beautiful? Is life actually beautiful? Do I actually even believe life is beautiful? Or is this just miserable? Is this garbage? Am I not happy? Am I discontent? And the reason why I've been unable to sit down is because I've been mad. I've just had anger inside of me. And I haven't recognized the anger, but it's felt ridiculous to try to sit down in this little chair and pontificate over life being beautiful, over why life is beautiful, but also just be so mad internally it wouldn't even be honest. And so, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to speak about why life is beautiful, but I also have to answer this question: why am I so mad? Why am I so mad? Because that is, of course, the thing that causes me to see the ugliness in the world rather than the beauty, the toxicity in my own heart. And so I would like to not be so mad, so subtly irate for no reason anymore. So I want to solve that problem. But when I recognized the anger within myself, I did question whether or not it actually even is a problem. And I did also question if the thing that I'm feeling is anger at all, and if it is toxic at all. Because there's a book that comes to mind that I read a long time ago, several years ago, and it was by a neurologist, a neurosurgeon or neurologist who went into a coma. I can't remember his exact profession, but he was a doctor of the neurochemistry of the brain. And so the same things that he has treated other patients for, he himself went into it, which is a coma. And he wrote this book after coming out of the coma, and he talks about what it is that he experienced while he was in the coma. And it was fascinating because he describes being in a dreamlike state, but not recognizing that it was a dreamlike state. And everything was beautiful. Everything was colorful. The world in which, the dream state in which he was existing was vibrant and meaningful, and the entirety of it was beautiful. Life is beautiful. His dream state was beautiful. And he was in a coma for 6 months, and he describes that as time went on, and he didn't really have a good perception of time, but there was just gradual changes. That is what he could perceive as the gradual changes. And he describes living in this vibrant realm like a beautiful garden, a beautiful walled garden. And there was no aggression towards him. There was no, the dream entities within his coma were not against him, they were for him. Everything was completely positive. And then all of a sudden, things began to change. And the change that happened is that the world in which he was existing started to become gray. Everything began to lose its vibrancy. It became gray like mush, and rather than the entities being for him, his friends, his neighbors, the dream entities started to become aggressive. The dream entities, he could tell, wanted to do something like devour him. And when he noticed this gradual change, he realized he needed to leave. And so within this dream state, while he's in a coma, he then leaves this current state where he is at, this land, this imaginary land in which everything had once been vibrant and wonderful, but had decayed into gray mush. And the beings within the realm were for him, but now they are all against him. They are all antagonists to him. They're like entities trying to pull him down into the depths. They want to keep him in that place. It's like a trap. It was like Pleasure Island in Pinocchio, where everything looks good and everything is tempting and there's positive feelings, but it's not actually good for him. He needs to leave. And then within his coma, he started to think of his real family and the people in his actual life. And so he left that place that was once vibrant and he journeyed to a different realm. And as he made that journey, that is what allowed him to wake up from the coma. So it's very fascinating because that often is what life is like. We are in one place and you enter a new place. I've entered this new journey where I sold all of my stuff and I moved into my van and started to travel around the country. And when I did that, everything was novel and new. I was like in a new existence and it was vibrant and people were all for me. And I'm not saying that people are against me now, but this can't be lived forever. The thing that was once novel and anomalous and beautiful, like anything else, this journey, if you are not the hero and you don't complete the journey, if you just see the journey as only as beautiful and that the circle, the hero's circle, doesn't need to be complete, as in you start off in an ordinary world, you venture into the depths, you might find, because the depths, the place, the underworld in which you had to go is new, it is beautiful, you might find yourself wanting to stay there, but you have to get the gold and go back to the ordinary world. You've got to go back to the ordinary world. And I just say that because it doesn't mean that there's tangibly anything that I need to do, and I literally need to leave this. I don't need to physically leave this journey in which I have embarked, but I can't forget that it is a journey and there's something that needs to be done. There is gold that needs to be retrieved. And not only is there gold that needs to be retrieved, the hero's journey is that the hero retrieves the gold, brings it back to the people, and he is of value to the whole village. He's of value to the people who he brings the gold. And we're all heroes. We're all heroes. We're all in journeys all the time, different layers of journeys. And so we must not forget that, yes, life is beautiful, but there is something that needs to be done. And you don't want to let the beauty itself be a temptation. You want to keep the beauty as a fruit. The beauty is like a symptom of the life that you live, and by sacrificing, you get to be immersed in beauty all of the time, rather than have the world that you exist because you went into the underworld, rather than have it all become gray mush. Gray mush. Right. Right. And so the thing that I'm describing that stopped me from recording a video about life is beautiful was something that I perceived to be anger and like a subtle rage, but it might, and you could even call it discontent, but it might just be determination. In my subconscious, I know that there's something that I have to do, but I'm just not exactly doing it. And so it's not that I'm mad for, it's not even that maybe that I'm mad, but even if the emotion that I'm feeling is accurate to say it is anger, there is a place for it. It isn't inherently bad. There's a reason for it, and it's your emotions telling you that there's something that needs to be done. And what needs to be done? Well, I was walking down a neighborhood street, and life is beautiful. And so on this neighborhood street, there were kids outside playing, tossing balls from one side of the street to the other. There were no cars moving. This neighborhood was full of life. And as I'm walking down the sidewalk, I can see out of my peripheral two little girls on a picnic table selling lemonade. And the reason why I only saw them out of my peripheral is because I was looking forward. I didn't want to make eye contact with them because I didn't want to buy their lemonade. So I didn't want to make eye contact with them so that they would ask me. So I'm just pretending they don't exist, walking forward. But then I hear, "Hey, sir, would you buy some of our lemonade for 5 talents, please?" And I hear a little girl's voice saying that, and I'm like, "What?" So then I have to turn to the lemonade stand because she said the word talents, and I'd been reading a parable of the Bible where Christ is telling his disciples about a wealthy man, a ruler, who he had servants, and he gave one of his servants 5 talents, another servant 3 talents, and a third servant 1 talent. And he said, "Take care of my wealth because I'm going to visit a king of a different land, and I'll be back eventually. But while I'm gone, you take care of my wealth here, okay?" And so he leaves and he comes back, and then he goes to the servant whom he gave 5 talents, and that servant is like, "Sir, I took the 5 talents that you gave me and I invested it, and because I invested it, I actually have 10 talents to give you now. You gave me 5, but I've got 10 talents to give you." And the ruler is like, "Oh, the wealthy man is like, 'You're a good servant. Thank you. You did great work. Thank you for doing that.'" And then he goes to the other servant whom he gave 3 talents, and the one whom he gave 3 talents is like, "Hey, I invested your money into land. I bought land and it has given us profit. You gave me 3 talents. I've got 6 talents to give back to you." But then he goes to the one whom he gave 1 talent. And he's like, "Where's my money?" And the one to whom he gave 1 talent is like, "Sir, I know that you're a cruel and harsh man, and you're very serious about your money, and so I buried the talent that you gave me. Here, I'm going to give it back to you now. Here's your talent you gave me." And the wealthy man is like, "You are a wicked, evil servant. How dare you? I gave you 1 talent, and you've had all of this time, and what you've done is buried, and you've only given me 1 talent back. You gave me back what I gave you. You evil, wicked servant. I'm not going to give you any more talents." So I've been reading that story, that parable in the Bible, and I'm just very curious about it. And so when this little girl was like, "Hey, would you buy some of our lemonade for 5 talents, please?" It got my attention, so I turned to them, and she repeats herself, and she says, "Sir, would you buy some of our lemonade? It's 5 talents, please." And I was like, "I don't have any talents." And without hesitation, it's 2 sisters, And one of the older sister looks to the younger sister. The younger sister is so young, too young to even speak, or she's really shy. And she said, "That's okay. We'll give you 5 talents, and then you can give it back to us to buy the lemonade." And the way that she said it, I knew that she wasn't trying to lend me the 5 talents. That way I would then owe them more money. No, they were literally just going to give me the 5 talents, and I give it back to them. They give me the lemonade. So the younger sister reaches under the table, pulls out 5 talents, hands it over to me. And what she has in her hand is 3 Game Boy Advanced video games. She hands them to me. Those are the talents. Only 3 Game Boy Advanced video games. I take them and I give them back, and they give me a glass of lemonade. And then I go on with my day. And then I wake up. I wake up from that dream. And I wake up from that dream and I'm like, what the heck was that? What just happened? Because that is life. Life is the place where you have dreams, where when I was in the midst, when that dream was happening, everything seemed so real. That's why I tried to describe it in that way, like it was real. Because I'm really walking down a neighborhood, and all of my past makes sense, and the future that I'm walking into makes sense. It doesn't seem absurd that I'm here. It doesn't seem like a dream. It seems like real life in the same way that this seems like real life. And so how does that happen? That is life, the place that we live out a story during the day, and then somehow we go to sleep and we're in a whole different reality. And it is a reality because it seems real. In the same way that that surgeon's coma experience seemed completely real until it didn't. Until it didn't. And so I woke up from that dream, and I was writing about it in a coffee shop because the dream is beautiful. The fact of having dreams is amazing, as is. You don't have to extract more meaning than just what is there. But like a novel or a movie, you can extract an even deeper meaning, a deeper theme. And so I was writing about, like, what is this dream? Why would I have this dream? What does this dream mean? And then as I'm writing about this the next morning, an old man sits down beside me and starts putting cream cheese on his bagel. And like I'm Ebenezer Scrooge on Christmas morning after he has found a renewal, I felt warm in my heart to see this old man delighting in a bagel next to me. And I've been to coffee shops from the northern tip of this country down to the southern tip of this country, been to a ton of coffee shops. I've seen this archetype of man all over, and it has never ceased to warm my heart every time I see him. And the reason why it warms my heart is because I'm not talking about a kind of old man, like an elderly man. I'm talking about a super old man. The type of old man who's going further away from being an adult, and they're so old they're growing closer to being like a child because they're losing their physical independence and their mental independence. They're just moving slower than everyone else, and they can either be moving slow with resentment or moving slow with patience and humility. And this man was clearly embodying patience and humility. And I love it because my mom is a nurse at a retirement home, and because of that, I know for a fact a lot of these people get abandoned. A lot of these really old people get abandoned. They don't have family for whatever reason. They're basically alone in this world. And so for this old man to be early in the morning, going through his routine, delighting in the cream cheese that he's about to eat off my bagel, warms my heart. I'm like, yes, you deserve that. You deserve this bit of joy in the morning. Thank God. Thank God, and life is beautiful. And it's funny, because after I saw that, I saw another person walk in to this place of leisure in the morning, getting a coffee shop, but this other person is mad at the world. They're rude to the workers. They're angry at everyone around them. And it's like, why? Why are you angry? Look at this old man over here who's growing out of life. Like he's close to mortality, and he is delighting in the simple pleasure, which is a cream cheese on a bagel. But you're coming into this same place, this place of leisure, like rude to everybody and mad at the world, like somebody is forcing you to be here. And it is ridiculous because there's not a soul forcing them to be there. Nobody is forcing them to be there. They've chosen it. It's a pleasure. So I saw this spectrum. And the first guy, the old man, growing so old he's like a child, reminded me that life is beautiful. But this second person reflected something back into myself because I'm like, I do that as well. I participate in the absurdity of going into a place of leisure and carrying with me negativity. And whether it's a job that I work or a literal place of leisure, it doesn't make sense to go into any environment angry at the world, because wherever you are, nobody is forcing you to be there. Nobody has forced me to do anything that I've done to take this journey. Nobody is forcing us to do anything. And so when that was reflected back at me, I was like, all right, why? Why do I feel that way sometimes? Why do I embody that negativity? And the only reason I saw that would cause me to act in that way, embodying negativity, is that pride has enveloped me. It has enveloped the frame through which I see the world, because it's like I'm not deserving of coffee in the morning. Like it's not an entitled right that I should have always had it, or that I'll always have it for the rest of my life. These pleasures that we have, they were given to us. And the only thing that would cause me to act like that is entitlement, and an entitlement towards the things that I have, thinking that I've worked for them and so I have a right to them. But it's absurd because I've been born into a specific life, and my life has been full of blessings, and I should always act with gratitude towards all of the blessings that I have right now and all of the blessings that I've always had. But the greatest blessing of them all is life itself, the fact that my life had ever began. And so it's kind of like this dream that I had of these two little sisters. Because after I saw these two people on both sides of the spectrum, the old man operating in gratitude and the other person who was embodying pride and entitlement, I was like, let me go back to this dream. What does this dream mean? And that dream that I had is life. As in, within that parable of the wealthy man and his servants, the servants didn't do a thing in order to get the wealthy man's talents to begin with, whether it was the 5, the 3, or the 1. None of them did anything to get the talents. He just gave them the talents to see what they would do with them. And in that same way, the little girls in my dream gave me the talents, and I could have ran off with the talents that they gave me in the dream, or I could trust that because they were the ones who gave me the dream to begin with, if they were the ones who gave me the talents to begin with, if I just give them the talents back, they will give me something better, which is lemonade. And in that parable, if the wealthy man gives you talents, well, it's different from the dream because I just got those talents and all I had to do was give them right back. These servants had the talents for an extended period of time, and so they had the opportunity to actually do something with that which they were given, and so they made the most of it. And the two wise servants gave the wealthy man back twofold of what they were given. They doubled what they were given. They took what they were given and made it better. They redeemed what they participated in redemption. And their reward is that the wealthy man promised to give them more responsibility in the future. He trusted them. But they earned his trust, but he first gave them his trust for no reason. And it was only the foolish man who had the one talent who buried it, who squandered that trust. And the two little girls gave me the 3 video games, which are 5 talents, with a promise that if I just give them back, they will give me something better, which is lemonade. And that is what is happening within life as well. And it is beautiful. We human beings, we are like fish. We're like fish because a fish, if you ask it, hey, how's the water today? The fish would say, what water? Because it doesn't even remember that it's in water. It's been in water its whole life. How would it know that it's been in water? And human beings, we are, from the time that we're born, we're immersed in beauty. And so if we've spent our whole life surrounded by that which is beautiful and mysterious, how would we even realize that we are in beauty? We forget. But the beauty ought not be a temptation. The beauty is the landscape of the journey in which we are all in. But happiness and fulfillment is like the speck in our eye, where you see the speck out of the corner of your eye, but then you try to look at it and it goes away. That is what happiness and fulfillment is. If you aim for the completion of your journey, if you aim for what is excellent, praiseworthy to God, then happiness is a byproduct of that. You can't aim for happiness. If you aim at happiness, you start to indulge in the vibrant world around you and see that everything is beautiful, and everything is beautiful. But because you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're not being who you're supposed to be, over time, everything will become gray mush. Gray mush. Right. Right. So why am I always mad? Life is beautiful. Why am I always mad? Life is beautiful. Which one? Which one is this? Which one is this? Why am I always mad? It's not even why am I always mad. It's why am I mad right now? Maybe the way that I'm feeling, it isn't even accurate to call it anger. It's not even accurate to say that I am mad. It's just, I've reached this point in the journey of which I'm on right now where I need to ascend. I need to be better. I know that you don't want to look at yourself like you're insufficient. We're all sufficient as is, but it is good to recognize your need for God and always strive to be better rather than just indulge in the world around you. And if you strive for what is better and what is praiseworthy to God, the world around you will regain its vibrancy. Yes. Yes. And so there's something that we have to do. There's something that we have to do, and we've been granted this beautiful life. And we have something that we ought to do with it. And yes, life is beautiful, but the beauty of life ought not to be a temptation, but rather we can't forget that we are here for a reason. And we can do both. And the good news is that the reason that we are here for is to, like the old man in the coffee shop who is getting so old he's growing further away from being an adult and he's more like a child. We can be like that. We can just live slow. Focus on cultivating the light inside of ourselves. Focus on cultivating the walled garden within ourselves. Focus on being who we are supposed to be. Filling our mind, action, and speech with everything that is praiseworthy to God. And yes, this life, I am not mad, I am determined. This life, this is truly beautiful. We are blessed, and that is all that I have. Goodbye.